We are supported by generous business donations and the many fine patrons that help keep our local music alive and kicking. If you are interested in becoming a Possum patron, please go to www.patreon.com/clubpossum to sign up. If you would like to tip our artists, please send a donation to paypal.me/OzarkRootMusic, or if you're with us in person, just drop a tip in the tip bucket here in the back next to me. The entire amount received will go straight to the musician. And now for our show. Tonight we have a person who is no stranger to the Mountain View Meeting Place or the Mountain View music community as a whole. He's been playing music in and around Mountain View for, about 45 years now. And he's been here several times before, and we're happy to have him back. Will you please make welcome Mr. Dave Smith?
Hey, Gresham? Oh, yeah. Can you raise that, please? Turn off the spotlight. There, that's better. Okay. Hey, everybody. Lightning struck, the team run wild, tore up the harness and a brand new plow. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. Runaway team, the fence tore down, kicking up dust all the way to town. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. Hard times, hard land, try to make a living, but I'll be damned. Drought, heat, and hail tend to get the upper hand. Scratch that ground, pray for rain. Sometimes the trouble ain't worth the pain. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. Wife took sick, got the flu. Lord, all the troubles that I've been through. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. 4 kids down, got the mumps. Sometimes life sure hands out the lumps. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. Hard times, hard land, try to make a living, but I'll be damned. Drought, heat, and hail tend to get the upper hand. Scratch that ground, pray for rain. Sometimes the trouble ain't worth the pain. It's a hard road, trying to make a dollar, sodbuster. Thank you. Thank you very much. There it is. Yeah, folks, my name is Dave Smith. I'll be playing for you tonight. I'm here working without a net. I'm up here by myself. No band or anything. Just all you get is me tonight, but I'll do the best I can. I was telling some folks that are here tonight, I kind of try to specialize in stuff you never hear on the radio. I'll do a couple songs tonight that you might be familiar with, but most of them are great songs by great songwriters who just never get played. And so I kind of specialize on that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Tune a little. There's one you heard on the radio a long time ago, and everybody kind of recognizes it by the first few notes. Some folks say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood, flesh and bone. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Yeah, sing along. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the straw boss said, well, bless my soul, you load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble are my middle name. I got one fist of iron, the other of steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't, and a lot of men died. I was raised in a cane brake by an old mama lion. Can't no high-toned woman make me walk the line. 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Thank you. Man, great to hear you singing along. That's good. Oh no, just that makes it sound like more people singing. Let's see, here's one you can sing along with. Well, I've been to Gay Paris, where the women at 3:30 come strolling along where the boys belong. Holler and toller, I boom da, and I dance the oyster dance, and I give the girls a chance. And I shed great tears, and I did 3 years for stealing a couple of longhorn steers. And I've been to Ohio, likewise Cameo, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Buffalo. And I've been up in a balloon, and I've been in a saloon. I've been dead broke, been out on a soak, and I drank till I thought I'd croak. I've been buncoed once or twice, had cards and shooting dice. I bet a house and a lot and a 14 spot, but they pulled my legs when I pulled the knots. And I've been in bum hotels, played mileage that was hell. I've been in bum beds where I fought and I bled, chasing the bed bugs around my head. And I've been on fire and all, and I've often played baseball. I've been hit with bats and sticks and bricks. I've been thumped around in a terrible fix. And I've been to Chicago too, that place where the wind blows through, where I went to the fair and they clipped my hair and they charged me $1 an inch for air. So I went down to the track, on a horse I took a crack. I bet a 10 or 2 on a horse I knew, but the horse fell dead and he never came to. And I've been to Kent, and I've been to Salt Lake too. That's the only town I knew where the girls are cuties and they does their duties and they chews the gum called Tutti Fruities. And I've been to Alabama, and I stepped on a banana, and I slipped and fell and got hurt as well. But the words I used I never can tell. And I owned an automobile, and I likewise rolled the wheel. I made a gold strike and I had a prize fight, and since that time I've never been right. And I fought for the blue and gray, and I slept on a bale of hay. I rode a mule, I taught public school, but I never could learn that golden rule. And I drank a lemonade, stirred with a post hole spade. I've been out at night and I've seen the sights, and I marched with the Salvation Army at night, and I've been where I don't belong. You've heard this lovely song. Now these are all facts, and I made a few cracks, and I'll get it in the neck where the chicken got the axe. Thank you. Nobody sang along on that one, I know. Let's do. I'm just kind of pulling them out here tonight. Let's do a song by the great Scottish songwriter Robert Burns. A great writer. He wrote a lot of poems, but he wrote songs as well. He loved birds, and in a lot of his poems and his songs, he mentions different birds, and he does in this song that I'm about to do. It's a love song called Flow Gently, Sweet Afton. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, I'll sing thee a song in thy praise. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream, so flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. Thou stock dove whose echo resounds through the glen, Ye wild whistly blackbird in yon thorny den, thou green-crested lapwing, thy screaming forbear. I charge thee, disturb not my slumbering fair. How lofty, sweet Afton, thy neighboring hills, far marked with the courses of clear winding rills, where daily I wander as noon rises high, my flocks and my Marys, sweet caught in my eye. How gentle thy banks and sweet valleys below, where wild in the woodlands the primroses blow, where oft as mild evening sweeps over the lea, the sweet-smelling birk shades my Mary and me. Thy crystal stream, Afton, how lovely it glides, and rides by the spot where my Mary resides. How wanton thy waters her snowy feet lave, as gathering sweet flowers she stems thy clear wave. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, sweet river, the theme of my lays. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream, so flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. Thank you. Thank you. I played for many years here at the Ozark Folk Center. Been there a long time. We used to have nighttime shows there a lot. Played there learned a lot of really old great songs from the pre-World War II, which is when we were kind of supposed to be doing our music. This is a great old novelty song from about the turn of the last century, I guess. I wish that you could see the gal I took to a fancy ball. The span around her little waist was neat and very small. I thought about 2 oysters would fill her up complete. Such a dainty little delicate thing, but this is what she eat. A dozen raw, a plate of slaw, and a fancy Boston roast. A bowl of stew with crackers too, and soft crab served on toast. Next arrived some oysters fried. I thought she had more sense. When she called for a pie, I thought I'd die for I had but 50 cents. She said she wasn't hungry, she didn't care to eat, but I got money in my pants to say she can't be beat. She took it in so easy, she had an awful take. She said she wasn't thirsty, but this is what she drank. A brandy gum, hot buttered rum, 3 schooners of lager beer, a glass of ale and a gin cocktail. They quickly disappeared. Then a whiskey skin and a glass of gin. She astonished all the gents. When she called for more, I fell to the floor, for I had but 50 cents. You can bet I wasn't hungry. I didn't care to eat, expecting any moment to be kicked out in the street. She said she'd bring her family along next time we went for fun. I give the man my 50 cents, and this is what he done. He broke my nose, he tore my clothes, he threw me through the door. I won the prize with 2 black eyes, with me he mopped the floor. Then he grabbed me where my pants hang loose, and he threw me right over the fence. Take my advice, don't try it twice if you have but 50 cents. I suppose now it would be if I had but $50, I suppose. Yeah. Hey, this brings us to the Western cowboy part of our show here. Do a couple old cowboy songs for you. This is one, I learned this from Glenn Orland, who used to live up on Dodd Mountain. He's passed on now, but he was a really neat guy. Glenn was an amazing fellow. He ran away from home when he was 15 years old and worked on cattle ranches all across the West, Nevada, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. Got into the rodeo circuit and rode bareback broncs for 15 years in the rodeos, and played here in Mountain View until he was 85 years old, and he finally passed on a while back. Glenn told me a good story. He was going up to Cody, Wyoming. If y'all ever been up there, the Buffalo Bill Museum is at Cody, and they have guests, musicians that come in, and they invited Glenn to go up and play there. So he went up, and on his way up there, he went through Sheridan, Wyoming, over in eastern Wyoming, and there's a great place, if you ever in Sheridan, go to the Mint Bar. He went to the Mint Bar. In fact, he told me about it, and my wife and I went and checked it out. But he was sitting in the Mint Bar, and this Indian was in there, Shoshone Indian, come up and kind of sidled up to him and said, tell you what, he said, how about I tell you a riddle? If you get the riddle, I'll buy you a beer. If you don't get it, you buy me a beer. Well, Glenn said, what could it cost him but a beer? He said, yeah, okay. So the Indian said, it's my mother's child, but it's not my brother, and it's not my sister. Who is it? Glenn thought for a while. He finally said, I give up. Who is it? The Indian said, it's me. So Glenn went on up to Cody, and he was up there and been up there a day or two, and he ran into his friend Waddy Mitchell, who's a great cowboy poet, and they were in a bar, and Glenn said, tell you what, how about I tell you a riddle? He said to Waddy, he said, if I get it, you buy me a beer, and if you get it, likewise. And Waddy said, okay, what is it? Glenn said, well, it's my mother's child, but it's not my brother, and it's not my sister. Who is it? Waddy thought for about 5 minutes. He finally said, I give up. Who is it? Glenn said, it's some Shoshone Indian back over there in Sheridan. Yeah. Anyway, this is a song about the Stetson hat. Filled with alkali, sand, and mud, stained with grease and crimson blood, battered and bent from constant use, still you've withstood the most derned abuse. A close companion through all the years, fanning broncs and longhorn steers. I dedicate this to the old brown lid for the years and the things that the old hat did. Carrying oats to a spooky bronc, security for drinks and a honky-tonk. Mistreated and abused on a roundup spree, walked on, trumped on old JB. Fighting a fire in a clapboard shack, fighting a fire in a clapboard shack, chopping up the wind in an open crack. Been everywhere that a hat can go, 48 states and Mexico. Now I've grown old as we've trailed along, but you old hat, you're still going strong. Been a good friend through all of that, you or the old gray Stetson hat. Thank you. Here's another old cowboy song. This one, I learned this one from Stuart Mossman, the guy who built this guitar. I was playing at the Folk Center restaurant one night, and the waitress brought up a little card. I thought it was a request, and it said, nice guitar. And it was signed Stu Mossman. He recognized the guitar he built back in 1974 over in Winfield, Kansas. This is a great song about a roundup called Tied a Knot in the Devil's Tail. Way up yonder in the Sierra Peaks where the yellow jack pines grow tall, Buster Jiggs and Sandy Bob had a roundup late last fall. Well, they'd taken their horses and their cutting irons and maybe a dog or two, and they rounded up every old long-eared calf what come into their view. Any old calf with long lopped ears what didn't brush up by day had his old hide sizzled and his long ears chiseled in a most artistic way. Well, one fine day, old Sandy Bob, he throwed his Ciego down. He said, "Boys, I'm tired of this cowography, I reckon I'll head for town." So they saddled up and hit out at a lope, for there weren't no sign of a ride. Them was the days when a good cowpoke could oil up his inside. Well, they started out at the Kentucky bar at the head of Whiskey Row, and they wound up down at the depot house about 40 drinks below. Then they headed up and they turned around and headed back the other way. I'll tell you the God-forsaken truth, them boys got stewed that day. As they was heading back for camp, packing them a pretty good load, who should they meet but the devil himself just a-prancing down the road. He said, "Look out, ornery cowboy skunks, you better hunt your holes, 'cause I'm the devil from the Hell's Rim Rock, come to gather up your souls." Well, Sandy Bob said, "Devil be danged, we boys is kinda tight. Before you corral any cowboy souls, you'll have some kind of a fight." So they tied him up and they necked him down while the irons was a-getting hot, and they lopped and swallered, forked his ears, and they branded him a lot. Then they necked him up to a blackjack oak and knotted his tail for a joke, and then head off and rid up the road at a lope. So if you're ever in the Sierra Peaks and you hear some kind of a wail, you'll know that's the devil just a-bellerin' around with a knot tied in his tail. Thank you. Well, I dreamed that I had died and gone to my reward, a job in the heavenly textile mill on the Golden Boulevard. And the mill was made out of marble, the machines were made out of gold, and nobody ever grew tired, nobody ever grew old. The mill was built in a garden, no dust or dirt could be found. The air was clean and it smelled so sweet with the trees and the flowers all around. And it was quiet and peaceful in heaven, there never was a clatter or a boom. And we heard the most beautiful music as we worked at the shuttle and the loom. And the mill was made out of marble, the machines were built out of gold, and nobody ever grew tired, nobody ever grew old. And there was no unemployment in heaven, we worked steady all through the year. There always was food for the children, and we were never haunted by fear. And the mill was made out of marble, the machines were made out of gold, and nobody ever grew tired, nobody ever grew old. When I awoke from a dream about heaven, I wondered if there ever would be a place like that down here on earth for people like you and me. And the mill was made out of marble, the machines were made out of gold, and nobody ever grew tired, no, nobody ever grew old. Thank you. I've listened to a lot of songs over the years by a great songwriter from, well, now he lives in North Carolina, named John McCutcheon. Terrific songwriter. This is one of my favorite songs. And it kind of has to do maybe with a little bit with Part of my lifestyle, I guess, and maybe about Mountain View's about, and the folk center and all about remembering the ways of the past so we know where we're going, because we got to know where we've been. It's called Water from Another Time. And ostensibly, it's about those old pitcher pumps. So a lot of people remember old pitcher pumps. It was a pump that went on a cistern or a real shallow well, and you had to have a little jar of water close by, and when you got ready to pump, you poured your water right on top of the pump, and that primed the leathers that were in the pump, right? And you had to make sure when you got done that you refilled your little jar so Grandma didn't give you a whipping with a peach switch. This is Water from Another Time. New mown hay on a July morn. The grandkids are running through the knee-high corn. A sunburned nose and a scabbed up knee from a rope at the white oak tree. Just another summer's day at Grandpa's farm with Grandma's bucket hanging off my arm. You know the old pump's rusty, but it works fine, primed with water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Tattered quilt on a goose down bed. Every stitch tells a story, my grandma said. Her father's nightgown and grandma's pants and the dress she wore to her high school dance. Now wrapped at night in those patchwork scenes, I waltz with grandma in my dreams. My arms, my heart, my life entwined with water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Newborn cry in the morning air. The past and the future are wedded there. In this wellspring of my sons and daughters, the bone and blood of living water. And while Grandpa's hands have gone to dust, like Grandma's pump reduced to rust, their stories quench my soul and mind, like water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Gonna need a little water. Gonna need a little water from another time. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, let's do another one on the old banjo here. Well, a lost chord there. We'll deal with that here in a minute. Oh, shit. This reminds me of a time that I was playing at the Folk Center, and I was starting my last song. And behind me, behind the curtain, the band was setting up. Leatherwoods was setting up to play the jig dance, which was right after my set. And I was having trouble getting my instrument, my banjo, out of this gadget that holds it up. And I said, "Let go." Well, meanwhile, back behind the curtain, Gene said, "Let her go, let her go." So the band started playing. The dancers came out. They didn't open the curtain because they knew it wasn't time yet. It was a pretty interesting night there at the Folk Center. Let's see, what was it? Oh, I know. This is a great old song. You've heard it done or I've heard it done a lot of different ways. Actually, I really hardly ever heard it until I recorded it and made it the title song of my CD, and then all of a sudden I was hearing it everywhere. Not because I did it, but it just got popular at that time. But it's a great old song. Sometimes you hear bluegrass groups doing it real fast, but I like to slow it down a little bit. It's really neat. It's called The Red Rocking Chair. I ain't got no use for your red rocking chair. I ain't got no honey baby now. I ain't got no sugar baby now. It's all I can do, all I can say. Take it to your mama next payday. Take it to your mama next payday. And I ain't got no use for your red rocking chair. I ain't got no honey baby now. I ain't got no sugar baby now. Who'll rock the cradle? Who'll sing your song? Who'll rock the cradle when you're gone? Who'll rock the cradle when you're gone? Well, I'll rock the cradle, I'll sing your song. I'll rock the cradle when you're gone. I'll rock the cradle when you're gone. And I ain't got no use for your red rocking chair. I ain't got no honey baby now. I ain't got no sugar baby now. Some old rounder came along with his mouth full of gold. Rounder came and stole my jelly roll. Rounder came and stole my jelly roll. And I ain't got no use for your red apple juice. Living on corn whiskey now. Living on corn whiskey now. And I ain't got no use for your red rocking chair. I ain't got no honey baby now. I ain't got no sugar baby now. I ain't got no honey baby now. Thank you. For you folks who are listening on the radio, that was my guitar falling over we heard a minute ago. Mossman, I've just been bragging about. Looks relatively unharmed. We will see. Ha! A little out of tune. Let's move to a different guitar here. I was talking to some folks from Indiana who are here tonight, Dan and Sarah. Hi, Dan and Sarah. Telling them to be sure and go see the Buffalo River while they're here. Something a lot of people don't know about the Buffalo River is that we almost lost it. Back in the 1960s, the Corps of Engineers wanted to put a couple of dams up there on the Buffalo and turn it into a big lake. And a group called the Ozark Society, under the direction of a man named Dr. Compton, Dr. Neil Compton from Fayetteville. They formed a big group, and they went to Washington, and they fought against it. And after several years of litigation, they finally got the Buffalo River made into America's first national river and saved it from being Lakerized. And I learned this great song from a great Canadian songwriter named James Keelahan, kind of about the same thing. It's called River Run. River of blue, cut through the valley, swept past the willows and the sandy barn. Ran so swift, lost in my memory, but the way things were is not the way things are. We used to swim in the crook of its arm in the summer's heat, who could be blamed? Avoided the rapids as best as we could, never thought that that stream could be tamed. Long ago I gave up that riverside valley, traded coolies for towers of steel, abandoned the vistas and valleys of childhood for the things that they told me were real. No more would I run with the speed of a colt across the Brabble-bound by waterside, to race with a twig I threw in at the bend. Couldn't catch it, though God knows I tried. Now the river's not running as fast as it could. There's a dam there restricting the flow. And I don't run either as fast as I could. Seems that river and I have grown old. Oh, now it's strange in returning to places of youth. Seems your memory has made a mistake, 'cause the place that once scared you with white water running has been turned by decree to a lake. Makes me think about how I smoothed out the wrinkles, made the waters as calm as you please. Makes me think about how that river and I were both happier when we ran free. Now the river's not running as fast as it could. There's a dam there restricting the flow. And I don't run either as fast as I could. Seems that river and I have grown old. Seems that river and I have grown old. Thank you. Well, I have to tune my guitar up. This is not the first time it's hit the stage. Y'all having a good time so far? Yeah. Good? Thanks to Gresham back there doing a great job on the sound. Whoa! Is that for my guitar? I don't even know where to start here. Let's see. Start. Yeah, it was in tune when I bought it. Okay. Almost there. Come, lonely hunter, chieftain and king, I will fly like the falcon when I go. Bear me, my brother, under your wing. I am struck, filled with lightning when I go. I will bellow like the thunder, drumming about the storm of war. Twisting pillars spun of dust and blood up from the prairie floor. I will drive the fall before me like a gale out on the snow. And the wind will long recount the story, river and the glory when I go. Strange spirit dancer, nimble and thin, I will leap like coyote when I go. Tireless entrancer, lend me your skin. I will run like the gray wolf when I go. I will climb the rise of daybreak, I will kiss the sky at noon. Turn my yearning voice at midnight to my mother in the moon. I will make delay of long defeat and draw the chorus slow. Send this message down the wire and hope someone wise is listening when I go. And when the sun does trumpet from his wet red house in the east, he will find the standing stone where long I chanted my release. He will send his morning messenger to strike the hammer blow, and I'll shatter down uncountable in sours of crimson rubies when I go. Sigh, mournful sister, whisper and turn. I will rattle like dry leaves when I go. Stand in the mist where my fire used to burn. I will fly with the night wind when I go. And should you see my wandering form out on the borderline between death and resurrection in the council of the pines, do not worry for my comfort, do not sorrow for me so. All your diamond tears will rise up and adorn the sky behind me when I go. Thank you. That's the first time I ever sang that song for anybody. I've done it at home. It's a great song. I'm not exactly sure what it's all about, but it was written by a great songwriter named Dave, hang on, Carter. Dave Carter wrote that. Well, it's banjo time again, I'm afraid. You know, the poor banjo gets a lot of abuse. You know what you call a pretty girl on a banjo player's arm? A tattoo. Yeah. This is let's see what I got here. Oh, totally politically incorrect song. I love doing this stuff. Now love, it is a very funny thing. It catches the young and the old. Just like a plate of boarding house hash on many young men it's sold. It'll make you feel like a freshwater eel and cause your head to swell. You'll lose your pride, your love is tried, and it'll empty your pocketbook as well. Boys, keep away from the girls, I say, and give them lots of room. 'Cause when you're wed, they'll hit you in the head with a bald-headed end of a broom. Now all young men, take my advice, don't be in a hurry for to wed. You'll think you're in clover till the honeymoon's over, and then you'll wish you was dead. With a cross-eyed baby on each arm and a wife with a plaster on her nose, you'll find that love don't run very deep when you gotta wear second-hand clothes. Boys, keep away from the girls, I say, and give them lots of room. 'Cause when you're wed, they'll hit you in the head with the bald-headed end of a broom. Now all young men, take my advice, don't be in a hurry for to wed. You'll think you're in clover till the honeymoon's over, and then you'll wish you was dead. With a cross-eyed baby on each knee and a wife with a plaster on her nose, you'll find that a love don't run very deep when you gotta wear second-hand clothes. Boys, keep away from the girls, I say, and give them lots of room. 'Cause when you're wed, they'll hit you in the head with a bald-headed end of a broom. Thank you. Okay, here's another song by John McCutcheon, the guy who wrote Water from Another Time that I did a little while ago. Great new song. It's my latest song I've learned. I love this song. Take me just a minute to get geared up for it here. It's called Y'all Is All. I remember back, I was 8 or 9 at my grandma's house in the summertime. Every night around 6, in her long sweet drawl, y'all come in, y'all means all. I may not like you, you might not like me. Sometimes that's just the way things are gonna be. Still I'll lift you up if you should fall. 'Cause where I come from, y'all means all. Blood is blood, bone is bone, kin is kin, and home is home. It makes no difference, I can recall. That makes a difference, y'all means all. It's a southern thing, it's simple etiquette. You treat folks kindly, but sometimes folks forget. They turn plumb mean, Neanderthal. But like my grandma said, y'all means all. Blood is blood, bone is bone, kin is kin, and home is home. It makes no difference, I can recall. That makes a difference, all means all. I've heard it said round these parts, we've got troubles, but we've got hearts. Round the table there is a chair where you're always welcome. Sit yourself down there. We are not perfect, we know it's true. We're all God's children, we're just me and you. Someday soon we'll heed the call. Y'all come in, y'all means all. Blood is blood and bone is bone. Kin is kin and home is home. Makes no difference, I can recall. That makes a difference, y'all means all. In your Birkenstocks or your overalls, bless your heart, y'all means all. Thank you. You know what I forgot to do before the show was turn my phone off. So I've been playing in dread that it was going to ring, but nobody ever really calls me anyway, so I guess we're good. But you all might do the same. We've all been lucky so far. Let's get another good old song on the banjo here, called Long John Dean. Did you ever hear the story about Long John Dean, baddest bank robber in Bowling Green? Well, they put him in the jailhouse the other day. Late last night he made his getaway, and he's long gone from old Kentucky. Long gone, ain't he lucky? And he's long gone, that's what I mean. Long gone from Bowling Green. Well, they put out a reward for to bring him back. They even put the bloodhounds on his track. Well, the doggone bloodhounds lost his scent. Now nobody knows where Long John went. And he's long gone from old Kentucky. Long gone, ain't he lucky? And he's long gone, that's what I mean. Long gone from Bowling Green. Never will forget till the day I die. Fell in love with a woman held high. Well, it's heads she wins and tails I lose. She got the ace and I drew the deuce. And she's long gone from old Kentucky. Long gone, ain't she lucky? And she's long gone, that's what I mean. Long gone from Bowling Green. Long gone from Bowling Green. Thank you very much. Oh, it's poetry time, folks. We were talking about Glenn Orland a little while ago. This was his most requested poem, and I learned it a long time ago, but I never wanted to do it while Glenn was alive. It was kind of his poem, and he always did it, but he's gone now, so I'm trying to keep it alive. This is a poem by Montana veterinarian and poet Wallace McCrae. It's about that concept of reincarnation, you know, not the stuff you put in your coffee in the morning, but the concept of coming back as something else after you've passed on. What is reincarnation? Said a cowpoke to his friend. His pal replied, it happens when your life has reached its end. They wash your neck and comb your hair and clean your fingernails and lay you in a padded box away from life's travails. The box in you goes in a hole that's been dug in the ground, and reincarnation sets in once you're planted beneath the mound. Now the clods melt down just like the box in you who's inside, but then you're just only beginning on your transformation ride. Then one day on your lonely grave a single flower is found. Then say a horse should wander by and graze upon this flower that once was you but now has become your vegetative bower. Now the posy that the horse head up along with his other feed becomes bone and fat and muscle, essential to the steed. But there is a part that he can't use, and so it passes through and finally lays upon the ground this thing that once was you. Then I should wander by and find this object on the ground. I ponders and I wonders at this thing that I've found. I think about reincarnation and life and death and such, and come away concluding, why, you ain't changed all that much. Yeah. You folks are very kind, very kind. Find my pick here. One of them. I'm not exactly sure where this next song came from. And it may still be a little out of tune. No, it's not bad. Let us now praise the carpenter and the things that he made, and the way that he lived by the tools of his trade. I can still hear his hammer keeping 10-penny time, working by the hour till the day that he died. He was tough as a crowbar, he was quick as a chisel, square as a plain lord and true as a level. He was straight as a chalk line, right as a rule. He was square with the world, he took good care of his tools. His hands in wood from the cradle to the coffin, with a care and a love that you don't see too often. He built boats out of wood, big boats, working in a shipyard, a mansion on the hill and a birdhouse in the backyard. He was tough as a crowbar, he was quick as a chisel, fair as a plain lord and true as a level. He was straight as a chalk line, right as a rule. He was square with the world, he took good care of his tools. If you asked him how to do something, he'd say, just like Noah built the ark, you gotta hold your mouth right and always at your mark. He was tough as a crowbar, he was quick as a chisel, fair as a plain lord and true as a level. He was straight as a chalk line, right as a rule. He was square with the world, he took good care of his tools. Called the Carpenter. Hey, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to take a break for a little while and let you all have a break as well. They got, you have popcorn back there tonight, young man? Yep. Popcorn, hot coffee. Cookies. Homemade cookies. Yeah, water. So take a break for a few minutes. I'll see you back here, and I'll probably do about another 20-minute set when I come back.
Look to the Master for He's in control. you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to progress and goodbye to the moonlight motoring. Mother's sleeping in the back room. TV shows are the only life she had. Her son's now a captain in the Air Force, and he can't find the time to ride a proud old dad. Our daughter wants to leave the place at 18, run away with a jobless Beaumont man, hitchhike out of California and make a life in the Rocky Mountain land. So if you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to progress and goodbye to the moonlight motoring. Sun goes down behind the freeway, then sets down by the dried up swimming pool. Can't make the payments on the mortgage, can't turn the red ink into blue. The weeds are growing through the gravel, and the blacktop's cracked and hardly washed away. Our neon sign points in the wrong direction. Moonlight motoring pulls down the day. So if you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to progress
My name is Stanford Barnes, and I come from Buffalo town. I've roamed the wide world over, I've traveled all around. I've been through ups and downs in life, and better times I've saw. But I never knowed what misery were till I came to Arkansas. I landed in St. Louis with $10 and no more. I read the morning papers till both my eyes were sore. I read the evening papers, and then at last I saw 10,000 men were needed in the state of Arkansas. I wiped my eyes in dumb surprise to read that grateful news, and I started out that moment to find the agent, Billy Hughes. He said, pitch me down $5 and a ticket you shall draw to ride upon the railroad to the state of Arkansas. I started from St. Louis, half dead and half alive. I started out next morning at 5:15. I bought a quart of whiskey, my misery to thaw, and I was drunk as a boiled owl when I left for Arkansas. 'Twas in the year of '82, in the merry month of May. I landed down in Fort Smith on a hot and sultry day. Up stepped a walking skeleton, and he offered me his paw, invited me to his hotel, the best in Arkansas. I followed my conductor to his dwelling place. Poverty was depicted on his melancholy face. He fed me on corn dodger, his beef I could not chaw, and he charged me 50 cents for this in the state of Arkansas. I started out next morning to catch the morning train, but he said to me, you'd better work, I've got some land to drain. I'll pay you 50 cents a day, your board and wash and all, and you will be a different man when you leave old Arkansas. I worked 6 weeks for the son of a gun, Jesse Herring was his name. He stood 6'7" in his stocking feet, taller than any crane. His hair hung down like rat tails on a long and lantern jaw. He was the photograph of all the gents you'll find in Arkansas. He fed me on corn dodger, hard as any rock, till my teeth began to loosen and my knees began to knock. I grew so thin on sassafras tea I could hide behind a straw, and indeed I was a different man when I left old Arkansas. So farewell to swamp angels, cane brakes and chills. Farewell to sassafras tea and old corn dodger pills. If I ever see this place again, I'll give to you my paw. It'll be through a telescope from here to Arkansas. It'll be through a telescope from here to Arkansas. A true story. Rosemary, what was it you wanted to hear? Oh, okay. All right. I don't trust that thing anymore. There. This, the reason I've got two guitars is 'cause this one is tuned differently. This is tuned in what's called a dadgad tuning, and that's a standard tuning on that guitar. This is another song by James Keelahan, who wrote the River Run, the one about the river that I did a while ago. James wrote this song after he had a conversation with his mom about the high incidence of mortality amongst childbearing women back in the days before modern medicine. It's called Jenny Bryce. lost in thought as up the hill I wandered. Sitting there to greet the dawn upon my life I pondered, and glanced along the shaded grove where often I have been with Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter, sweet Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter. Her family came of tinker stock, baptized by flowing water. Old Jackie was disposed to roam, and so his only daughter. And me, a lad of 17, I left my parents' home for Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter, sweet Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter. Glen to heathered moor with Jenny I went roving. Her voice so sweet made soft the road from daylight till day's closing. And when at night I laid to rest, 'twas in my true love's arms, Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter, sweet Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter. One day she said, "Oh, Willie, I weary of the road. So a fine small house I built for us down in yon shaded grove. And there with Jenny by my side, I led a settled life, with Jenny as companion and as wife." One day she said, "Oh, Willie, a child for us I bear. And all that winter long I worked and helped her to prepare. But none but God could help her for a birth such as she saw. And Jenny Brice, she bore for us a daughter. She was Jenny Brice, she bore for us a daughter." Six tortured hours she lingered, never once complained. And all that I could do for her I did to ease her pain. When morning came I formed a cross, and I carved on it her name. I carved Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter, sweet Jenny Brice, Jack the Rover's daughter. So this morn as I was lost in thought, as down the hill I ambled, and back along the shaded stream where with my love I rambled, to greet a child of 7 years who bears her mother's name. She is Jenny Brice, Jenny Brice's daughter, sweet Jenny Brice, Jenny Brice's daughter. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, here's a song. This is a neat song. This song was written in 1906. And you'd think it was written yesterday to listen to the lyrics. If I can remember them all, we'll see how it goes. Excuse me while I get strapped in here. In these days of indigestion, it is oftentimes a question of what to eat or what to leave alone. Every microbe and bacillus is trying hard to kill us, and in time they all will claim us for their own. There are germs of every kind in every food that you can find in the market or upon the bill of fare. Drinking water's just as risky as the so-called deadly whiskey, and at times it's a mistake to breathe the air. 'Cause some little bug is gonna find you someday. Some little bug is going to creep inside you someday. Then he'll call for his bug friends, and your troubled times will end. Some little bug is going to find you someday. Now that tasty green cucumber has most everybody's number, while the sweet corn has a system of its own. And that radish looks nutritious, but its behavior is quite vicious, and a doctor will be coming to your home. Eating lobster cooked or plain is only flirting with ptomaine, while the oyster really has a lot to say. And the clams they put in chowder make the angels sing the louder, for they know they will be with you right away. 'Cause some little bug is gonna find you someday. Some little bug is going to creep inside you someday. Eat that tasty sliced pineapple, and the sexton dust the chapel. Some little bug is going to find you someday. When cold storage vaults I visit, I must always ask, what is it makes poor mortals fill their systems with such stuff? For breakfast prunes are dandy if a stomach pump is handy, and a doctor can be summoned soon enough. Eat that plate of fine pig knuckles, and the headstone cutter chuckles while the gravedigger makes a mark upon his cuff. Eat that tasty sliced bologna, and you'll wear a wood kimono while your relatives are scrapping for your stuff. 'Cause some little bug is gonna find you someday. Some little bug is going to creep inside you someday. Eat that spicy bowl of chili. On your breast you'll wear a lily. Some little bug is going to find you someday. Now all those crazy foods they mix will float you across the river Styx, or have you climbing up the Milky Way. And the meals they serve in courses mean a hearse and 2 black horses, so before a meal some people always pray. Grapes breed appendicitis, and the juice leads to gastritis, so there's only death to greet you either way. Fried liver's nice, but mind you, friends will follow close behind you, and the newspapers will have nice things to say. 'Cause some little bug is gonna find you someday. Some little bug is going to creep inside you someday. Then he'll call for his bug friends, and your troubled times will end. Some little bug is going to find you someday. Ah, boy. Yep. 1906. Pretty amazing. Hey, this is on time for another poem. I've got a request for this poem. This is a poem, another cowboy poem, and it really speaks about the difference in nomenclature from things from the East and the West. You know, out in the West, when they cut the calves in the spring there, they have a delicacy they call Rocky Mountain oysters. So that's kind of what this one's about. The sign upon the cafe wall said, "Oysters, 50 cents. How quaint, this cowboy sweetheart said with some bewilderance. I suppose they would be Chesapeake or Blue Point, don't you think? No, ma'am, they're mostly Hereford Cross, and usually they're pink. But I've been cold, so cold myself that what you say could be true, and if a man looked close enough, their points might well be blue." She said, "I hunt them by myself out on the bay alone. I pluck them from the murky depths and smash them with a stone." The cowboy winced, imagining a calf with her beneath. "Me, I use my pocket knife and yank him with my teeth." "Oh, you brute, you cad, how crude and unrefined. Your masculine assertiveness sends shivers up my spine. I prefer a butcher knife, too dull to really cut. I wedge it in between the shells and crack it like a nut. I pry them out. If they resist, sometimes I use the pliers or even Grandpa's pruning shears, if that's what it requires." The hair stood on the cowboy's neck, and his stomach did a whirl. He'd never heard such grisly talk, especially from a girl. "I like mine fresh," the sweetheart said as she laid her menu down and ordered oysters for them both when the waiter came around. The cowboy smiled gamely, but the words stuck in his craw, and he finally fainted dead away when she said, I'll have mine raw. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That calls for a banjo tune. Let's see, a banjo tune, Okay, let me retune here for real quick. I'll change this down to the key of C. Bring my fifth string down to C. Yeah, you all just talk amongst yourselves while I'm tuning. Okay, this is a tune. There it is. Probably a true story. This song is actually hundreds of years old. In fact, it's kind of interesting to note. Some folks came in here, it's been 30 years ago, I guess. Moon and Deb Mullins moved to Mountain View, great musicians. And they brought this song with them that I was already doing, but it was completely different. It told the same story, but the melody was different, the words were different. And it's an example of the folk tradition where songs are handed down orally rather than written. Because everybody learned it a little bit differently as it went around one way. And everybody changed a word or changed a chord or something. And by the time it came back around here to Mountain View, it was two different songs that told the same story. Kind of interesting how the folk tradition works. This is called The Devil and the Farmer's Wife. And there's a part you all can help me with. It's a little nonsense verse that goes, fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Let's try that. Fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. There was an old man and he lived on the hill. If he ain't moved away, he's a-living there still. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Well, the devil come up to the farmer one day, said, one of your family I'm gonna take away. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Please don't take my eldest son, there's work on the farm that's gotta be done. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. But you can have my nagging wife, by heaven, she's the curse of life. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. So he threw the old woman up on his back, and he went off to hell with a clickety-clack. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Well, he got her down to the fork in the road. He said, old woman, you're one devil of a load. Come fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Y'all are doing good. Well, he got her down to the gates of hell. He said, stoke up the fire, boys, we'll roast her well. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Come along a little devil with a ball and chain. She up with a slipper and knocked out his brain. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Two little devils come crawling up the wall. She up with a slipper, killed 99 more. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. 10 little devils come crawling up the wall. Said, take her back, Daddy, she'll murder us all. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Well, the farmer up and peeked out a crack. He said, oh my gosh, he's bringing her back. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Well, the farmer crawled up under the bed, but she yanked him out by the hair of his head. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Said the devil, Here's your wife, I hope she's well. If I kept her in her longer, she'd have ruined hell. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. Well, I've been a devil most all my life, but I never knew hell till I met your wife. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. There's a moral to this story coming right up. This proves that women are better than men. To go down to hell and come back again. Come a fi diddle-I, diddle-I, fi diddle-I, diddle-I day. No, I don't trust it. Stay away from that thing. Yeah, that's an old story. Old one. Looking at my list here.
What's that stick leaning up against the wall?
Oh, that stick. That's become my new torture device since I racked up my shoulder the other day, but we'll give it a shot here and see what happens. This is a, you folks who are not from around here probably don't know what this is. This is a picking bow or a mouth bow. It's really just a stick of walnut with a G guitar string. One note. If you had trouble playing guitar, this is the instrument for you. The chords are really easy on this thing. No doubt some lonely Neanderthal hunter was having trouble catching any game, and he realized there was a note on his bowstring, and they maybe played it like that for a long time, but somebody else figured out that if you put it up against the side of your mouth and change the shape of your mouth, you can change the note. Yeah. So let's do this one. I heard my neighbor's rooster crow early in the day. I heard his axe beyond the hill, and now I'm bound away. 'Cause some men love the city life, and others love the town. I'll pack my goods for the lonesome woods, and there I'll settle down. A fiddle and a bow and a firelight glow, you can hear that lonesome sound. Leave behind my trouble in mind and go the whole world round. Pretty, isn't it? Ah, the red squirrel leaves when the gray squirrel comes. The eagle nests alone. 1,000 miles from a wagon track is where I'll make my home. 'Cause I've seen the old men whittling wood, and I've seen the lights of town. I'll make my goods to the Arkansas woods, and there I'll settle down. A fiddle and a bow and a firelight glow, you can hear that lonesome sound. Leave behind my trouble in mind and go the whole world round. Thank you. Thanks. It's I can pick the heck out of this thing when my shoulder's not all racked up. But it's a fun instrument. Jimmy Driftwood. Y'all heard of Jimmy Driftwood? Yes. He was a famous guy from probably Stone County's most famous native son, and he collected a lot of folklore stuff. And he had his father-in-law was named Jess Goodman. He lived up at Oney, Arkansas, and he had a store there. And apparently, I've not seen it, but in Jimmy's collection of stuff is his father-in-law's old mouth bow like this. And it's coated, they say, coated with amber. And by amber, they mean old dry chewing tobacco that dribbled down it while he played. And I guess it's just completely coated with it. So. I may need to start chewing, really. Put that right there. Oh, gosh darn it. Keep losing that thing. You got any requests over there while I'm at it here? Hang on. Oh, I've got one. I've got one. I have a request. This is a song it came from Colorado. Some folks in Colorado sent me this song because they thought I might like to do it. And boy, were they right about that. My wife and I sat at the kitchen table and listened to it and started crying. It's a great song. Written by a Canadian, or a Colorado songwriter named Bob Amos. Written about a true story. It's called Mr. Beeford's Barn. Excuse me, tighten up a little bit here. August 1969, after evening chores, we went to see who stood outside knocking on our door. An old man stood there quietly, his hat held in his hand. He said, "I'd like to have a minute of your time. You see, my dad and I, we built that barn in 1899. He said his name was Beeford as we walked across the field, and he told us how they'd raised the frame without a single nail. Just wooden pegs was all it took to make those timbers stand." Then he said, as his eyes looked far away, "Build it right, and it will last forever and a day." Mr. Beeford's barn still stands on our farm, where it stood 100 years before. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. He told us how they'd moved down south in 1921, where farming was much easier and the winters not as long. But he'd made a promise to himself to see the barn again once more before his life was done. Then he shook our hands and drove away into the setting sun. Late that night I gazed out of the window by my bed and out across the meadow while the moon shone overhead. The old barn stood there silver like a sentry in the night. Once more I heard the old man say, "Build it right, and it will last forever and a day." Mr. Beeford's barn still stands on our farm, where it stood 100 years before. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. Thank you. All right, let's see. Let's see here. I went up to a lady's house to beg a bite to eat. She fed me on pork and beans and pie and coffee sweet. She said, "Now, Dave, you know that food was good. Won't you step out in my backyard and chop this stack of wood?" Well, you ain't talking to me. You ain't talking to me. I may be crazy and all like that, but I got good sense, you see. You ain't talking to me. No, you ain't talking to me. That food was good, but I can't chop wood. You ain't talking to me. My wife and I have had ups and downs most all our married life. She said to me one day, "Dave, let's stop this awful strife." We were out upon the lake one evening about dusk. She said, "Now, Dave, we'll drown ourselves. No one will grieve for us." Well, you ain't talking to me. You ain't talking to me. I may be crazy and all like that, but I got good sense, you see. You ain't talking to me. No, you ain't talking to me. When the lake runs dry, it's time to die. You ain't talking to me. While hunting with my buddy Jake on a bright and sunny day, we come upon a big old bear and he would not go away. Jake said, "He's powerful big. We'll need some help, it's clear. I'll run back and get the boys and you just keep him here." Well, you ain't talking to me. You ain't talking to me. I may be crazy and all like that, but I got good sense, you see. You ain't talking to me. No, you ain't talking to me. You hold the gun, I'd rather run. You ain't talking to me. Thank you. Here's a song. We got time for a few more here. Let's see what I got. I'm not sure what key I do this in, but we'll try this one and see. A little low. Take it up a little. Yeah, this is a neat song. I'm the host of a radio show called Ozark Highlands Radio that we produce at the Ozark Folk Center, and we have stations, 155 stations around the country that run our radio show, mostly public radio stations. You can hear it here in Mountain View on 88.5, our local radio station, which is right behind us here, as a matter of fact. It's pretty neat, isn't it? And we do a thing called the Vault segment, where our old buddy Mark Jones used to go down the vault and he'd find something interesting to listen to each week. Something from maybe recorded in 1973 or 4 here at the Folk Center. And this is a song that Charlie Sandage sang on our Vault segment, and I had never heard it before. It's from the Revolutionary War. It's called The Blacksmith of Brandywine. Yep. We went down to Chesterton, it was a sight to see. This is going to be a little low here. Let's raise it up. We're going to bring it up here. We went down to Chesterton, it was a sight to see. A giant of a man with a hammer in his hand. I should explain a little bit about this song. It'll make more sense. This guy, apparently in this story, this guy, he was at the tavern and he heard the Tories, the people who were loyal to the British, talking about a plot to kidnap General Washington. So he went and alerted the general about this plot. That's all you need to know. We went down to Chesterton, it was a sight to see. A giant of a man with a hammer in his hand laying dead neath an old oak tree. And all around him on the ground in fatal disarray, a score of men who'll never fight again or travel on the King's Highway. We dug a grave and covered him o'er and sadly shed a tear. Then we made our way for the rest of the day till we met a musketeer. From him we heard a story of a brave and angry man who undertook the British enemy with a hammer in his hand. And it's a one for General Washington and all his gallant men, one for the girl I left behind, and it's one for the darling boy I'll never see again. And don't forget the blacksmith of Brandywine. There was this man from Brandywine, far from the cannon's roar, with a manner mild and a wife and child no man could ever love more. But he heard of a Tory plot to waylay Washington. He left his home and his family alone, to the general he did run. His errand done, he hurried home, and there in sorrow he found his wife and son by the British gun lay dead on the cold, cold ground. He picked up his heaviest sledge and he made a practice swing. Next day on the line at Chesterton, you could hear that hammer ring. And it's one for General Washington and all his gallant men, one for the girl I left behind, and one for the darling boy I'll never see again. And don't forget the blacksmith of Brandywine. No, don't forget the blacksmith of Brandywine. Thanks. Well, I got time for about two more. Let's do one. Let's do a Jimmy Driftwood song, since we were talking about him a minute ago. This is kind of an interesting story. He played on the Louisiana Hayride, and Johnny Horton heard him do the Battle of New Orleans. And so Johnny Horton went back and told his manager, he said, hey, I want to cover that song. So this guy Driftwood wrote it. So they tried to get hold of Jimmy Driftwood, and they couldn't find him. They couldn't reach him. And it took forever for them to finally get him, because he lived out here at Timbo, and they still didn't have phone service out at Timbo. And this was in like 1958 or something, so it took a while. Anyway, this is one of his most famous songs, the Tennessee Stud. Well, along about 1825, I left Tennessee very much alive. Never would have gotten through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been a-riding on a Tennessee Stud. Well, I had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw. One of her brothers was a bad outlaw. Sent her a letter by my Uncle Fudd, and then I rode away on the Tennessee Stud. Well, the Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. Well, I roped on down into no man's land, across that river called the Rio Grande. Raced my horse with a Spaniard's foal till it won me a skinful of silver and gold. Now me and the gambler couldn't agree. We got in a fight over Tennessee. Jerked our guns and he fell with a thud, and I rode away on the Tennessee Stud. Well, the Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. Well, I got about as lonesome as a man can be, dreaming of a girl back in Tennessee. Tennessee Stud's green eyes turned blue, 'cause he was a-dreaming of a sweetheart too. Well, we loped right back across Arkansas. I whooped her brother and I whooped her paw. When I found that girl with the golden hair, she was a-riding on a Tennessee mare. Well, the Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. Stirrup to stirrup and side by side, we crossed them mountains and the valleys wide. Came to Big Muddy and we forded the flood on the Tennessee mare and the Tennessee Stud. Well, there's a little baby laying on the cabin floor, and a little horse colt playing round the door. I love that girl with the golden hair, and the Tennessee Stud loves the Tennessee mare. Well, the Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. Thank you. Well, sadly, we've come to the end of our night. I'm going to do one more song for you, though. This is another one written by John McCutcheon. And by the way, I want to thank Gresham and Zach. Good job back there, boys. Yep, let's hear it for them. And to Chris Smith, who put all this place together and allows us to do these shows here. We're working on tips tonight, so just visit the tip jar back there if you haven't yet. And they probably still got some cookies back there, I'll bet. And the popcorn gets cheap about the end of the show, I'm going to tell you that. This is, like I said, another song by John McCutcheon. He wrote Y'all Means All that I did, and he wrote Water from Another Time. And he wrote this one about a true story. And thanks, by the way, to all you great folks for coming here. You're really a wonderful audience. I'm so glad. Didn't look too good at about 10 minutes to 7, but thank you. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it. One morning while reading the paper, in search of a new set of wheels, the classifieds had the most curious ad in the heading Used Automobiles. I read with suspicious amusement what seemed like a wild stroke of luck. Corvette Stingray, it said, low mileage, bright red, 83 model, $65. Now I was used to my newspaper's typos, but I dialed up that number straight away. About that 83 vet, have you sold that thing yet? She said, no, you're my first call today. I said, there's been some mistake in the paper. They printed the price wrong somehow. Oh no, replied she, they got that from me. I said, don't sell that car, I'm leaving now. Her address was in a part of the city that I'd been to just one time or two, where doctors, bank presidents, and lawyers are residents, and the houses are stylish and new. As I turned up the half-mile driveway, there in the heat of the day, in the sunlight it gleamed, the car of my dreams, just $65 away. The interior was done in white leather. There was a 487 V8, gull wingspan doors, Hurst 4 on the floor, and the 8-channel CD was great. There was chrome on the chrome of the fenders, an aerodynamic design, a bar, a TV. It was boggling to me that for $65 it was mine. Now I knew this woman must be crazy to sell off her car at that price. But as we strolled down the lane, she seemed perfectly sane. She was charming and really quite nice. And she smiled with such great satisfaction as she handed me title and keys. I said, I've just got to know why you're letting it go. What's wrong with this car? Tell me, please. Said she, I'll be 60 come Sunday, and I've lived here with my husband Earl till after 30 years wed. And without a word said, he ran off with a young teenage girl. With his credit cards left here behind him, I knew that he couldn't get far. Last night from Florida, he sent a wire to me, said, I need money, dear, sell the car. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.